Yes, sir. You are watching the OBR streaming network, and this is All Eyes on Cleveland. We have a fantastic show planned for you tonight. My name is Brad Ward. The man next to me is Big Case Dog, Casey Kinnamon. Follow him on X and Twitter at Casey_Kinnamon. What's up, Drew? Everybody filing into the chat. We appreciate you tuning in to summer NFL content. Diehards only. We stay locked in. We appreciate you. Make sure you take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. It only takes a second, and it helps us out greatly. And it doesn't cost you anything. So just, do it. Just do it. We appreciate it greatly. Tonight, we've got a fantastic show planned for you. We are starting off some of our previews tonight. The early portion of the Browns' schedule is filled with the NFC East. So we're going to hit on the NFC East Preview tonight. We've got a little Deshaun Watson stuff from a scout that leaked his thoughts or whatever. We've got three guys that we are dying to see play in the preseason from the Browns. And, of course, thing or not a thing later tonight. Case Dog, I hope you're ready for that. Hope you guys are locked in and ready to enjoy some off-season Browns content. Listen, man, not that much longer. We are coming up on it, Case. What are we, 2 weeks out? Less than?
Less than, sir. Less than.
Less than 2 weeks from the Greenbrier. So you can start getting ramped up. Yes, Drew, that will come later in the show, so thank you. Candy Corn Guy with a question early. Who's returning kickoffs this year? I'm going to go out on a limb. Not really a limb, but what do we think? I'm going to say, hold on. I know what I want to say, but it's just escaping me. It's been a long day. Jerome Ford and Nyheim Hines are my two.
Nyheim Hines is top of my list. I don't have my second yet, but they have options. I think that's the beautiful thing here, is
Yes.
They have options.
They do have options. I think if they want to go running backs, I think those are the two that are there. Mm-hmm. We were talking about this on Thursday. Pierce Strong is a candidate, but I don't think he makes the roster. But if he does get elevated, maybe throw him back there. Larry is, very in on Strong, doing that. But listen, Larry, I don't think he makes the 53. But if Chubb is not back, and I don't think he will be for week one, I hope I'm wrong.
There could be some wiggle room there early in the season where he's just an elevation.
Yeah, maybe he gets elevated. Yeah. Another question early going here from Drew. Does Woods have return potential?
Doesn't have top end speed, but I'll say this, man. If he wants to make this 53, he's got to be multiple. So it would behoove him to take some reps.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be back there probably to give him a couple reps, returning punts, returning kicks, whatever. But he's going to have to be more active on special teams than he has prior. Yeah, so.
Oh, for sure.
Get on out there. Spend some time with Bubba. If you're watching over on X, take a minute. Hop on over to YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Orange and Brown Report as we are growing exponentially. We've seen a nice jump in our viewership the last week or so, so we appreciate that and keep building up and up here as we approach the season. So you're locked in for everything. Let's start tonight, Casey. Well, before we get into anything, how are you, brother? What's up, Big Case Dog?
I'm doing better now, man. I don't know if you can tell from the lighting, but your boy took a beating in the sun doing some emergency landscaping, literally working in the trenches. So I can't tell you how happy I am to be here with you right now talking football.
Yeah. In the air conditioning. Me too. Long day out in the sun, beating down on me. I was not doing what you were doing, but I was in the sun today, which is unusual for what I normally do. But, so long one today. But, Yeah, so I'm excited to talk about the NFC East. Now, so the NFC East is week 1, week 3, week 5, and week 6, right?
Yes, sir.
So bingo, bango, right out of the gate, it's full of NFC East. So that makes them prime for a preview show here early. So we're going to go over that. I wanted to look at something real quick. Okay, so week 1, we know that Cowboys 420. We'll go in this order. We'll go Cowboys week 1. We'll go Giants week 3 at home. Washington week 5 at Washington. And then we'll finish up with the Eagles in Philly.
Yep.
1
Yes,
p.m. Fox, October 13th. Sack Dak, says Connie. Yes.
Hey, Connie,
good
how
to
you
see
doing?
ya. How you been? Haven't seen you for a hot minute, Connie. Glad to have you in the chat. Okay. Let's talk about the Cowboys. All right, so we'll start with this. Odds for this division. Let's just hit that real quick, right? Have you seen them?
Earlier, yeah, I did. When I did a Cowboys preview probably about a month ago now with Randy Kersey, and because he writes for Cowboys Sports Illustrated. So
he does.
Yeah, Randy writes for like 30 sites.
Okay,
that's just one of them that he spends a lot of for Fan Nation.
Okay, so I see here. So you can go to a number of different sites to see this stuff, but at wherever has them tied. The Cowboys and Eagles both at plus 135.
Yeah.
FanDuel right now, I believe, has Philly as the favorite at minus 120. Dallas at plus 155. Washington at plus 1,100. It goes off a cliff after that. And then the Giants at plus 1,400. They're all very similar to that. I think they've all got Philly. If you're a degenerate like me, you can go over to DraftKings and get Philly if you really wanted them at plus 100 to win the division. I don't know if that's a lock. So we'll get into that.
Because the way they had a nosedive at the end of last year, I think if you're just looking overall talent on a roster, you could definitely view them as the favorite. But the tailspin they went into last year, and think about them coming off the Super Bowl, they get both their coordinators plucked to be head coaches. So they had 2 first-year coordinators. Well, both those dudes got fired after 1 year. So they're starting over with coordinators. Now it's Vic Fangio, who's Jim Schwartz adjacent as far as how long and he's been in the league and everything that he's seen. So I don't think they have to worry so much on the defensive side of the ball, but the offensive side could be a work in progress.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about the Cowboys though first here. Week 1. Okay, so coaches, of course, Mike McCarthy back, Brian Schottenheimer, OC, Mike Zimmer at DC, the interesting thing about the Cowboys, before we kind of really get into the nitty-gritty of them, there's a lot of talk early in the preseason about how they were going to go they're all in, right? We're all in.
Yeah.
They did nothing really.
Yeah, I follow actions instead of words.
Yes, they really did nothing. They have contract issues right now.
Yeah.
CD Lamb, Dak, all this stuff, right, is coming around the corner, right? So that stuff is at the is Zimmer, is that a new hire? Is Zimmer as the DC there?
Yeah, Dan Quinn's the head coach of Washington now. He was the DC.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, we'll get to that later. So as I can bring up the depth chart here if we want to do that.
Let's roll.
Let's do that. And take a look at what we got as far as the Cowboys. Okay, so Cowboys depth chart. Here we go. Can you guys see that?
I can, sir.
Let me make it bigger a little bit. Okay. So let's look at wide receivers here. Well, we'll start. We know the quarterback situation, right? And Zeke
The running back situation is hilarious to me.
Yeah. It was Zeke comes back to Dallas,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Strange. Like, why? They just can't quit him. What's going on there?
I don't know. I like their backup better. I like Rico Dowdle.
Rico.
Zeke's good
Dowdle.
for like short yardage and pass pro. You know, there's things that he does. I'm not saying there can't be a role for him there, but like, I don't know what they're doing, man.
Deuce Vaughn. Snoop Connor. I don't know who those guys are. So,
You know who Deuce Vaughn is?
I know
Super
who Deuce
itty,
Vaughn is.
tiny, itty bitty dude from Kansas State.
Yeah, I know who he is. I don't know who Snoop Connor is.
Nope. Cool name though.
Yeah.
First team
Royce
all name.
Freeman.
I think this is Royce
veteran.
Freeman's like 7th team.
Yep, for sure. All right, so this is interesting. So, I mean, what do they want to do here? They got Schottenheimer as the OC. Was he the OC last year?
That's a great question because I can't swear to it. I don't know. I can't.
Okay.
I know they lost homeboy to the Chargers, who's now with the Eagles.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure who their OC was last year. I just kind of default to they have the same situation. There's a lot of teams where your head coach is such an offensive-minded coach. If he took away his OC, I'm assuming that he's the play caller. McCarthy was the play caller, so I don't really put a bunch of stock in who the OC was. Yeah, Kellen Moore wasn't their OC last year.
Yeah, not last year. He was in
Los Angeles.
He was with the Chargers last
San
year.
Angeles.
San Angeles, yeah. So crazy. Let's take a look at their wide receiver core. So we know CeeDee Lamb.
Yes.
He wants a new contract, and he's a freak. He's a stud.
Yeah.
He's what, top 3 in the league? You'd say? Is he 2?
I'd say top 5. It's that tip of the spear at that position is so ridiculous. But yeah, he's among you could interchange those names.
I think he's number 2 for me right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Jefferson, Chase. I got AJ Brown on that short list. Tyreek Hill. Like,
yeah,
the tip of that list is ridiculous. You couldn't be wrong. You couldn't be argued though. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you have him as 2 and I have him as 4, that's so good at the top. What are we talking?
Yeah. They bring back Brandon Cooks.
He's only like 29.
Right. Do you know what kind of year he had last year?
He might be 30 now.
Say again? Have a good year last year with them?
Decent. He's Brandon Cooks, man. He's going to get you 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I don't know.
Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, that's banking a lot on that kid.
Whew. They drafted Ryan Flournoy.
Yeah.
In the 6th round. They don't go deep. I'll tell you that.
You don't have faith in Racy McMath? That sounds made up, right?
It does. What happened? I mean, they fall off a cliff after Cooks at wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I have no idea. People leave out Mike Evans. Are you talking about like top? He's talking about top of the game.
Yeah, I can't put him in my top 5.
He's not top.
See, also Devontae Adams. There's just so many names, dude. Like, and that's leaving out our own guy. You know what I mean? Like when we're talking about the tip of the spear, I think you look at those younger cats. I think the ceiling's higher there.
Yeah, he's saying top 5. Yeah, I have him in like that 2nd tier, partially because of his age.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't argue with the production, to your point, Drew. I mean, touchdown numbers. I think he had like 13 last year.
Yeah, he's going to Canton.
Yeah. He's a red zone threat. Candy corn guy weighing in. Cook will be 31 on September 25th. So.
This will be his 11th year in the league.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's it. It's CD and Cooks and Tolbert's okay, I guess. But, I mean...
They like their tight end a lot. They like Ferguson a great deal. It's another pass option they got.
He's a very good player. Luke, they have two. They have Schoonmaker too. Their offensive line is a bit of an issue because they're gonna go Tyler Guyton at left tackle
against Myles Garrett week 1. Welcome to the league, young man.
Yes, and does that work will be a big determining factor in what. I mean, not just against Myles, but for Dallas's season.
Yeah.
Does Guyton work at left tackle? Will be
Guyton was a project to me.
Yes,
I had him as a top end first round talent, but I don't think you see that right away. I think he's gonna take some lumps as he works on his game.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to run the ball a ton, are they? This is just going to be, they're going to be throwing it all over the yard. You got to think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's probably what Dak wants in a contract year.
Yeah. The defense is good. The defense is stout, in my opinion. You talked like top 5 defenses in the league. I think you can throw them up there.
You could with Quinn as the DC. We'll see how that works with Zimmer. But yeah, talent-wise, I don't think it can be argued.
Yeah, so DeMarcus Lawrence at one edge, Micah Parsons at the other, Mozzie Smith, Osa Odigizua, is that right? Okay, well done, sir. Eric Kendricks, middle linebacker, Damon Clark. They drafted Marist Liafo in the 3rd round. They drafted Marshawn Neeland, Mac kid, right? In the 2nd round.
Yep, Central Michigan, right?
So that's a nice rotational piece.
They're starting corners. They're good, man. That's a good duo there with Diggs and Deron Bland.
Yeah, I mean that's up there. So when you look at like rankings across the league, corner wise, and a lot of the places don't account for depth. But if you're looking at top 2 tandems, you see the Browns, you see the Cowboys, right? Are 1 on most lists. And strangely enough, like you had the monster year from Diggs, and then Bland last year with just like a tremendous year. So
I lost track of his touchdowns at one point.
Yeah, I mean, just insane. Malik Hooker at free safety.
The resurrection of Malik Hooker. This needs to be studied. That dude was left for dead.
Yep. Donovan Wilson at strong. They took
Sheldrick Redwine on the depth.
No way. Yeah, there he is. Does he make the team? Probably not.
I don't know.
They drafted this Killian Carson kid. I remember looking at his scouting stuff. They've got him at backup corner. Jordan Lewis is a nice little nickel, right? I mean, that's it, right? Turpin is a good returner. Brandon Aubrey. Who's their kicker? It's Aubrey.
He killed it last year, man.
Yeah, he did. So defense is good. Offense, they've got question marks on the offensive line, at running back, big time, and depth-wise, just not a lot there. So, wins. What do you think?
They're a double-digit win team.
10.
Yeah. I
say 10.
Yeah, I feel confident in that. I mean, not for nothing. The NFC's weaker.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're a team that can't afford injury because I look at their depth in a lot of positions and there's nothing there. But their top end talents, it's reasonable,
5 touchdowns on 9 interceptions from Drew.
It was dumb.
Last year.
It was dumb.
Yeah.
I'll say this about their cornerbacks: they're feast or famine. Those dudes give up touchdowns, they can also take it to the house on you.
They do.
It's a different style than what we're playing with in Cleveland.
Yeah, and a good point from, we talk about, and of course, there's plenty of time to talk about the matchup with the Browns, but when you really dig into the matchup with the Browns, I think the Browns match up pretty well against the Cowboys, because to your
Miles
point,
versus Tyler Guyton makes me feel pretty good about it.
yeah, Miles versus Guyton, our corners against their wide receivers, like Emerson or Ward on Lamb, probably Emerson, right?
Yeah.
Ward on Cooks, however you want to situate that, you like your chances of slowing them down and forcing them to run the football, which I think is the Browns will be able to slow down. It's going to be a really good game. It's a primetime game. It's going to be massive. There's just so much hype around this game to start. How Deshaun plays will be pivotal, but a great opportunity for him to come out and make a statement, and the Browns as well. Make
Absolutely.
A statement at home, week 1, a beatable Cowboys team, but in the NFC East, we'll do our predictions at the end.
I do want to say one thing.
Yes.
There was a lot of talk when they were like, "Oh, Brady's going to call the game," and they were talking about, how Brady will know more about the Cowboys defense than the Browns will. Dude, Kevin Stefanski knows Mike Zimmer.
Yes.
Knows him. Knows his schemes. Has gone up against him in practice for years.
Yeah.
So to me, it was just foolish to think of it that way. And we don't even know what our offense is going to be. So I don't know if Zimmer will have the same peg on Stefanski. Maybe on tendencies of play calling, things like that, but the actual structure of the offense, I don't know. But if Zimmer's rolling what he's always rolled with, I think you match up well there.
Yeah. Let's see here. So their notable positional changes. Who did they lose? They lost Anthony Brown,
Tyron Smith,
Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah, Gilmore's gone.
Noah Brown left. So that's interesting, right? So this is old. Never mind. Noah Brown left the year before.
Noah Brown was a Texan last year.
Yeah, that's right. This is old.
Tyron Smith's over with the Jets. Dan Quinn smuggled a couple Cowboys with him over to Washington. Tony Pollard's in Tennessee.
That's right. Key players out are Tony Pollard, Tyron Smith, and Tyler Biadasz. Their center, basically.
Yeah, center in Washington.
Their biggest signings, Eric Kendricks, and Zeke, which is shocking. Jerry Jones said they were all in this offseason. His actions spoke otherwise. They certainly have a lot of talent when you look at Dak, CD, Parsons as your big three, right? So it's interesting. I think, like you said, we both agree they can win double-digit games. So interesting stuff there. Let's go to the Giants, who the Browns will play in Week 3. Now, the Giants, when you look around, Case, they are at the bottom of a lot of power rankings that I've been seeing.
Yeah, I think they're in the running for being on the clock.
Yeah, it's not great. They will go Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, Shane Bowen, who will know the Browns defense well. Spent that time with Vrabel and
Schwartz in Tennessee.
Schwartzy in Tennessee. So that's interesting. Kafka, Dable calls the offense, right?
Yeah.
So they're big acquisitions here before we look at the depth chart. Their losses, Saquon stays in division, goes to the Eagles, right? Xavier McKinney at safety, and Darren Waller, who retired. Did he retire?
I don't know if he's officially retired yet. I don't know what's up with that dude.
I believe he retired.
I'll make a phone call.
I'm pretty sure he's out.
I know he's talking. I know it's been mercurial. It's been weird.
Yeah.
I would just make a phone call just to see if you want to entertain something.
the big thing was here they had a high draft pick, right? And the question was, are they going to take a quarterback? And instead, they went Malik Neighbors, right? So the guys that they have that they brought in, Brian Burns at edge is a nice add, of course. Malik Neighbors, their draft pick, and then they brought in Drew Lock to back up their Daniel Jones. And so,
I mean, it'll probably still be Daniel Jones when we play him, but I fully expect Drew Lock to take over at some point this season. Yeah.
Devin Singletary at running back, right?
Yeah, he's good, but is he a replacement for Saquon? I would.
No. I don't think so.
He's solid.
But, so that's their thing. Not great expectations for this team.
But there weren't great expectations for him 2 years ago when they overperformed and got Daniel Jones paid.
Sure.
So, I mean, when I look at their makeup, if I were to put money on a team to finish in the bottom five, I would say the Giants will be picking in the first 5 picks next year.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I want to look at their roster a little more because the one element for me is that I do think Dable can coach.
Yeah, I do too. I think he coached too good and got Daniel Jones paid, and now he's kind of stuck with him.
Yeah, I think he would have liked to avoid that. People in the chat saying 6-11 at best. That's probably a pretty good call.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let's bring this up here and see what they got.
Well, we start at the same place we did with the last one. Obviously, Malik Neighbors is their high talent wide receiver.
Yeah.
You got Darius Slayton, you got Wan'Dale Robinson.
Listen, I've always liked Slayton's game.
Me too.
He just can't stay healthy.
True.
You can't.
You got Allen Robinson. You seeing that?
Yeah.
They snuck him on there somehow.
Yeah. Wayndale Robinson. You said Allen Robinson? Holy crap, yeah.
Yeah, I snuck him on there.
Miles Boykin. Isaiah McKenzie.
Yeah.
Jalen Hyatt. He was their draft pick last year, right?
Yep.
Isaiah Hodgins, who played well, right? So, pretty sure he had a pretty good year. Not bad at receiver if they can stay healthy. They've got a number of guys that kind of do the job. Does Neighbors change that room? I think he does. Do you think
you might be able to sneak Hyatt around to be a speed threat, not need him to do a bunch of stuff like a one-trick pony. He can do those things.
Do you like? Do you think Neighbors an instant impact guy?
Yeah, but it is weird because I see him as like a vertical slot player. But he might be forced to play on the outside. They don't have a lot of size, man. They're little. Wandell's a itty bitty dude, but he's an outside dude himself.
Yeah.
They're going to. He's too little to survive over the middle of the field.
Yeah, it's a speed-oriented room.
Yes, yeah, and hey, man, look, that's the way the NFL's trending. You know what I mean? Yeah. Allen Robinson could be a possession guy. Overall, their room's in a much better place this year than where it was last year. And if Hyatt can develop at all, it's a decent room.
Yeah,
could grow.
Yeah, Hyatt, the same issues that said Tillman. You're coming from Tennessee. You don't have a developed route tree. You didn't run a whole lot to get open, right? You just gonna have to take some adjustment. Andrew Thomas, good left tackle, right?
Yeah.
John Michael Schmitz, John Runyon, and Evan Neal along the offensive line, which isn't bad, really, right? Offensive line wise. It could be.
I like Schmitz. Obviously, Thomas. And Thomas is, for me, he's just a case study on
yes.
Don't grade these guys too early. He had a rough rookie year and everybody was out on him. He has turned into a stellar left tackle.
Yeah. Candy corn guy saying Schwartz should attack the right side. Runyon getting old. He is. That's facts.
I like Bellinger.
I like
Bellinger Johnson
too.
In the draft. I also like Tyrone Tracy in the draft.
Okay. As a running back, Purdue, right?
Yeah. A little bit of a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I like him, especially as a depth guy. Eric Gray, don't know who that is.
He
Devin
was 2
Singletary.
years ago from Oklahoma.
Okay.
Older
Oh, yeah,
prospect. I
yeah,
think he was
yeah.
25 as a rookie.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Lawrence Cager, Theo Johnson. I like their tight end room. Yeah, I like Bellinger. Theo Johnson's a good pick. Defensively, this is
Dexter
where
Lawrence is a stud.
yeah. Lawrence is a stud. Jordan Phillips,
Run stuffer, yeah.
Brian Burns. They brought in Bobby Okereke is very good, right? Micah McFadden. And, of course, Kayvon Thibodeau is tremendous. So their front is actually terrific, right?
Yeah, and they got Azeez Ojulari and Isaiah Simmons as depth.
Yep.
I like their ceilings. They're guys with potential.
Yeah, these guys are. I really like their front seven is solid, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And so that's very interesting. And then you go to their secondary, Cordell Flott, Tyler Nubin is who they took.
Dude, I got nothing on Cordell Flott.
Yeah, I don't know.
Got
Flott.
nothing.
I don't know. I don't know Flott about Cordell. And Deontay Banks as their right corner. He first round pick last year, right? Drew Phillips, it'll be their nickel. He's another. They took a bunch of young players in their secondary, which they needed, right? Jalen Mills is there. That's interesting. He didn't really pan out, right? So, this is the Giants.
We talked about this before because of the new kickoff rule. You think they'll have the Scottish Hammer kicking off?
They should. They should.
You want Graham Gano tackling or Jamie Gillen?
I want Jamie. Yeah, I wish he was still on the Browns for that reason.
For that, yeah. That dude can lay the hammer down.
Yeah, absolutely. Isaiah McKenzie from Buffalo? McKenzie?
Yeah. Yeah, special teamer.
Indy last year?
And
now he's with the Giants? Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I'd like to see what Tyrone Tracy could do is what I would do.
Yeah. So that's kind of the deal with them. They will go as far as their quarterback takes them, which is not very far, I don't think.
If they're over-under for the wins is this year?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's probably
if it's 6, I'm taking the under.
Yeah. Let me see here. Let's get the here it is, win totals. You gonna load? I'll get it. Don't worry. But yeah, it's listen, they're not gonna be very. I would be surprised if they're good, right? Browns should be a win on the Browns schedule. It's 6.5. It's plus money to the over. So they think
correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the game we're honoring Phil Dawson?
Is it?
In my head, it feels right.
Week 3 at home. Might be. I don't know that one. Good call though. Yeah, so not much to talk about there. Neighbors makes them better on offense. This Commanders preview.
No, we did a Commanders preview with the guys from Commanders Uncensored on Tuesday. Yeah.
How was that?
It was good, man. Like when we get into it, I'll give you my thoughts when we get into the Commanders.
Well, let's get into it right now because they're week 5 in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested. You can let me know. Do the guys they think that Daniels is going to start the season?
Yeah, they think he's going to start the season. I mean, if you look at the options, it's Marcus Mariota or Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
It's paved for him to start off. And I think they're doing the right thing, when you're truly resetting. And they're resetting in a way that we can kind of identify with, because you change coaches and even GMs pretty often. You don't get to change owners very often. And their owner put such a cloud over that team. The fact that they get to move on from him and really establish their own thing now. Jaden Daniels would scare the shit out of me. That dude's like Port Johnny Knoxville. He's out there. I mean, he's a playmaker, but that comes at a cost sometimes, and he was able to get through it in college. I just don't know if you can play that style and hold up. We've seen way bigger quarterbacks than him not last trying that stuff.
They had a really interesting offseason, right? So they move on
draft.
they move on from, let's start with the staff. They move on from Rivera, and go with Dan Quinn, interdivisional hire. It's a strange hire a little bit, I think. I
don't think he was their first choice.
No, it was kind of strange, but and the big addition of drafting Daniels, but then they hire Cliff Kingsbury, right?
You lose Bieniemy, which those guys were pumped to lose Bieniemy, by the way.
Yeah, so Bieniemy out, Kingsbury in, and DC Joe Witt Jr., who was formerly with the Cowboys as well. So I'm assuming Quinn just brought him on over. I believe he was on the Cowboys staff. I believe the Browns interviewed him when they were interviewing DC's 2 years ago. Yes. So now they turn over some veteran guys like Curtis Samuel. Did he go to Kansas City?
No, where'd he go? Shit. I think it was Kansas City. I can't remember off the top where it was, though.
Okay, so Curtis Samuel out. Antonio Gibson is out. Those are guys, Jacoby Brissett out, right? So, and they signed Austin Eckler.
Yep.
Bobby
the ghost
Wagner.
Of Austin Eckler.
Right, Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz. So it's not like they were able to supplement what they lost pretty well. What did you think of this team last year?
Well, it's weird because you look at who they started the season with on their defensive line. You got Sweat and you got Chase Young, and you have a team that looks like it has a lot of promise on the defensive side of the ball, and they never delivered. They move off both of them guys, and I don't know if they think that that's a mistake now. At least should have tried to keep one of them, whichever one you could pay the least, probably Sweat, I guess. I don't know, but look who else they brought in, man. They when Quinn came in, he brought Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler. He got a couple guys to come with him. I think the signing of Bobby Wagner is huge for a young team. I mean, that dude led the league in tackles last year. He knows Quinn's system inside and out. He can be, because their back end's not good. Their cornerback room, I'll say that. Their cornerback room would scare the shit out of me. I like their safety situation. Their defensive tackle room might be the best in the league.
Yeah, man, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne.
And then you draft Jerzon Newton, who in my opinion was a top 10 talent, who fell to the second round, man.
Mathis is pretty good too. Bringing Cleveland Farrell, which is an interesting, change of situation, upside play, right? Dorrance Armstrong, you mentioned from Dallas, and Dante Fowler, both, bringing both of those guys in is kind of a coup, right?
Feels like it.
So, yeah, At linebacker, you have Wagner now, Frankie Luvo, is that right, Luvo? And then Benjamin St. Juste at one corner, Michael Davis at the other, and Mike Sanderstill, or however you say his name.
Yeah, Sanderstill, the nickel out of Michigan. He's good, man. And you got Quan Martin, the kid who came out the year before from Illinois, who's like a safety nickel hybrid. Like I was very interested in him. I like the other guy, the other backup, Percy Butler from Louisiana, one of the Raging Cajuns. He was a late round guy I was in on. So I like their depth at safety. Like Jeremy Chin. If Jeremy Chin can stay healthy, he's a Grant Delpit type player. But his health has always been his issue.
I would think that you see this roster littered with Dallas players, right? So, but Emmanuel Forbes was their first round draft pick last year.
Yeah, I would super underperformer, and he's not. I don't know, man. There's been pictures that have resurfaced from him this summer.
Really?
He doesn't look like a professional athlete.
Interesting.
Just skin and bones, man.
I would have thought he would have been the lock to start at the other corner, not Michael.
And maybe by camp he does. He just didn't do himself any favors. Didn't get off to a good start last year, and the overall feeling is they're down on him. Look at that backup, though. I don't know. I mean, you talked about this guy during the draft, Jordan McGee.
Yep.
Linebacker, Temple.
Yep.
I was high on him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their draft was excellent, dude.
Yeah. KJ Henry, backup edge.
Mm-hmm.
Some upside there. So, I mean, it's not terrible.
No, I like the receiver situation. Me and you are both Scary Terry fans. I think Jahan Dotson, he had a good rookie year and he was bad last year, but their offense was bad last year. So it's like, I think we'll probably find out a little more. Luke McCaffrey, I think, could be a solid slot receiver.
Yeah. They bring in Zacchaeus, who actually played pretty well for Philly last year.
Yeah.
I think he can play. And then Diami Brown has some take the top off type speed, right? I don't know. Dax Milne. Jameson Crowder still hanging around.
Davion Davis.
Yeah.
Their offensive line's cheeks, though, man.
Yep, offensive line. Like that. This is the issue. They took Brandon Coleman. He's one of the guys we were high on,
from
right?
TCU, yeah.
But I don't know if he's ready to start. Andrew Wiley, Sam Cosme.
Cheeks. Like a Dallas center. He's straight,
Yeah, I don't know.
Tight end situation's decent. I mean, Ertz is a good receiving tight end. I like Ben Sinnott. I thought he was someone I was high on.
Good pick, and Sinnott. Mariota, Jeff Driscoll, Sam Hartman. Jeff Driscoll making the transition. They still have Brian Robinson Jr., who I actually really like as a back.
Yeah, I know. I think he's your hammer. He's your one, and I use Eckler as my supplement back.
Yeah. Yeah, they paid a lot for him, though, didn't they? Eckler?
It isn't. I mean, it's not what he wanted. If you remember the beginning of last year, he was talking crazy. Yeah. He signed for pretty modest because that was the market.
Yeah. But yeah, I like Brian Robinson a lot. This team has a higher ceiling than
the Giants.
Than the Giants. Because if Kingsbury here, and I'll give you my thoughts, and you tell me what you think and what the guy said. Kingsbury is probably a controversial hire a little bit, right? But if you look back at like Kyler Murray's career and it's probably going to look a lot similar for me to what they did, what you've seen from Murray, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a pretty similar kind of offense here, which I don't think is a bad thing with the speed options you have on the outside, Daniel's talent. They could do some fun, explosive things here. How well the defense performs is interesting. They have some upside. They have some players if they could get some help on the back end, right?
Yeah.
Up front they're going to be kind of dangerous. What are their expectations?
I mean, the way I look at it, I think this is 7 to 9 wins.
Sure.
I feel like that's their landing spot. To your point with Cliff Kingsbury, when you can utilize your quarterback's legs, you automatically give yourself a higher floor.
Yep.
But until that player learns to win from within the pocket, it'll cap you. You'll have a ceiling to that when running, especially when your guys slide a frame. But Kyler's not a big guy. So he's playing with a lot of the same rule set. Not that Daniels isn't quite the athlete that Kyler Murray is. Not many are. He's a little bigger though, still slider frame. But to me, this is a higher variance team. But their areas of weakness are weak. They don't have a good offensive line. They don't have good cornerbacks. Their pass rush can mitigate some of that by getting pressure early and not having these guys be overexposed on the back end. But if you don't have a good offensive line, man, there's only so much you can do to hide your quarterback. I mean, it's good luck.
Yeah. What did the guys think? Are they excited about Daniels? The guys you guys talked.
It was a mixed bag. One of the guys wanted JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
And one wanted Jaden Daniels. I'll say this, man. Shout out to Jacob Roach. The second they hired Cliff Kingsbury, my phone, I got a text 30 seconds later saying they're going to draft Daniels. He was all in on that. So that looked to be the marriage. Yeah, it was a mixed bag. But they weren't delusional. They know their offensive line is not good. They know their cornerback situation is bad. They don't have depth. Like their front line of wide receivers is good, but behind that's not a lot. But they just started their window. When you draft a quarterback, you're starting your timeline right there. So to really grade what the situation is 2 years, 3 years from now to whether it's working or not. So I think for a first year, if they can get 7 wins with Jaden Daniels, I think that's success.
Yeah. I think so too. The line is 6.5. It's juiced to the over. So, So you're right on it when you say 7 wins. I think is gets you over their win total, and I would probably that's a tough bet to make, especially with the minus money on the over, right? So, I would stay away from that if I was a betting man, which I am.
It's the Jaden Daniels thing too. Like, can you stay healthy playing like that? 'Cause I don't know if you can.
Yeah, you don't know, and they probably would have behooved them to hang on to their backup quarterback.
Sam Howell.
No,
they had Sam Howell and Jacoby. Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, he can get you by a couple weeks. We've seen that, right? Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's transition here to the favorite in this division. Now, this game is going to come in week 6, right after. Is it back-to-back road games? 3
road games in a row. You got Oakland, you got Washington, then you got Philly.
Yeah, at Washington.
But then you go home for 3 straight, so it balances out.
It does. I don't know if it balances out, but yes, they try to make it right? So, last year, what a mess, right? So this team is one of the more talented teams in the NFL. It just went to shit at the end of the year, right? So Jason Kelsey retires. Hassan Reddick is gone. Fletcher Cox is gone. They bring in Devin White. They bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and they bring in Saquon Barkley. Now, they lost in the wild card round to Tampa Bay, right? It just... I don't know what happened at the end of the year, but it was like they were getting their defense completely lost all. It was like they were having a hard time getting effort. It was Sean Desai in his first year. They got another guy.
Got replaced for Matt Patricia in season.
Yep. Desai in his first year. Desai was thought of highly by the Browns.
He was a finalist for our job.
He was, and he's an analytics guy. from Seattle, right?
Yeah, Vic Fangio takes over there now, so I think that if you give Vic Fangio that level of talent, I feel safe to assume that defense is going to be much better this year.
Yes. So Fangio in and Kellen Moore in as their new OC. So the other thing, I want to talk that's interesting to talk about when you talk about the Eagles is not only did they have, it's not a talent issue, right?
No, not at all.
You're going to like the roster when you look at it. The Hurts, I think, was dinged.
He did. Suffered multiple injuries last year.
And I was listening today to some stuff on the Eagles, and they were just talking about how, their run game forced teams to play like single high stuff and load up the box so much. And so the year before, the year they went to the Super Bowl, right? And Hurts just made people. He burned everybody the year before, right? Like he was just killing single high coverage with the RPO stuff, and they would run the ball on you. And if you bring somebody up or load up the box, he would make you pay, right? Last year, not so much. The injury, whatever the reason was, he failed.
The injury, they were running a high school offense.
Yes, yeah. He failed to make teams, come up and play single high stuff. They could play too high. They weren't forced into man coverage with these good wide receivers. And, so now you have Kellen Moore. I'm a fan of Kellen Moore's offenses. I know it didn't work out last year, but it had a lot to do with injuries, I think, right? So what do you like? Here's the question. We'll look at the roster, but tell me what you think. Listen, I think Hurts is a good quarterback. I think he's wildly overrated at times.
Yeah,
he's a system guy, right?
That's the thing, and sometimes that gets used as like a slander. But if you're in a good system and you got a good system quarterback, it's his ability to threaten the line of scrimmage with his legs keeps teams honest, and then he can beat you one-on-one. You got talents like Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown. I just think you adding Saquon Barkley to this team, I think they're going to run the shit out of the football. See, for us, like for Browns fans, they're built similar. This is built from the inside out. This is trench on both sides. They are strong in the trenches. Now you lose Kelsey, that's going to hurt. Will that hurt their? I hate the tush push. I hate that. The brotherly shove sounded much cooler to me. I don't know why they didn't go with that one.
Hate them both.
But will they be able to play like that? Because they were playing with an extra down. When you're playing with an extra down, like it changes everything. It changes the mentality on second down. If you don't get, if it's second and 10 is different when you're playing with 4 downs as opposed to you got to get it, 5 on second just to make third manageable. So it changed the game for him. Will they be able to do that without Kelsey? I don't know. Cam Jurgens has been waiting in the wings. Now he gets his opportunity. Their offensive line's dope, man. Lane Johnson's a beast. Tyler Steen is another kid that I was highly in on. Even at right tackle, I thought he would have been good. Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata. I don't see his name on there, but they got Mekhi Becton. There he is. Yeah, they got him as the backup to Lane Johnson. They're solid up front, man.
Yeah, that's a nice add. So they are solid up front, but the only thing I'll say is, Jurgens has been waiting, and they smartly, spent a second-round draft pick 2 years ago on a guy and let him sit and develop. But, to your point, if they can't operate in the same fashion, it changes their team a little bit, right?
Yes.
Certainly.
Yes.
So now A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are elite wide receivers. They're loaded out there. They add Paris Campbell, who I've always been a big fan of, and I think, can produce in this offense as well, if he can stay healthy, right? They added this Smith kid from Georgia in the 5th round, right? Johnny Wilson.
I like Johnny Wilson, too.
Florida State in the 6th round.
A couple 6'7", dude.
Yeah. Nice couple of value picks at wide receiver.
John Ross.
There.
Am I seeing that right?
John Ross.
Is that the same John Ross?
Yep.
Are you shitting me?
It is.
And
Yeah.
Austin Watkins Jr., people.
Yep, there he is. The man, the myth, the legend.
No doubt.
Jordan Mailata, left tackle. I mean, the Landon Dickerson, Juergen, Steen, and Lane Johnson. That speaks for itself. Dallas Goedert is an amazing tight end. They have
CJ Uzoma is the third.
I doubt it. I would have him as your second. They also brought in
Albert
O. Yeah, so they brought in 2 depth tight ends that are nice.
Philly seems to get away with shit.
Yeah, they do.
Should be noted, Andrew Berry's twin brother.
Yes.
Is an executive for the Eagles.
Yes, absolutely. Hurts, Pickett.
Dude, that's the X factor, right?
Kenny Pickett.
That's the X factor.
Kenny Pickett. Small hands, big dreams.
Damn straight, Brad. Damn straight.
Tanner McKee, Will Greer. Saquon, they keep Gainwell, and they add Will Shipley, which is a nice little ad.
I agree.
In the 4th round.
I agree, man. They get away with shit, dude.
Yeah, they draft well. They just do their job drafting. So Milton Williams off the edge. Jordan Davis is a beast up the middle. Jalen Carter also a beast up the middle. Bryce Huff, they bring over from the Jets, who is a beast. Yeah. Also was interviewed on the show during the draft process. We are Bryce Huff truthers here at All Eyes on Cleveland. So
Brandon Graham is a backup.
Yeah, right.
Did you get eyes on Jalix Hunt this last draft?
I did not. You like him?
Yeah, man. He was from some small Texas school, Southern Methodist maybe. But he was a former safety converted to edge. Freak show. Complete freak show. And he'll get to develop there. That's not fair.
Trotter?
Just,
yeah. 5th round pick?
We're not even talking about where they got their steals in defensive backs yet.
That's crazy. That's
crazy. They crush
it,
man. They
That's
crush
crazy. So they bring in Devin White, right? Mm-hmm. And they have Josh Sweat as well. Nolan Smith. They're just loaded, right?
And Nakobe Dean, Keely Ringo, corner.
Yeah, so even Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo, Darius Slay, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Sidney Brown. This is a kid from Illinois.
Played well. Twin brother Chase Brown.
Didn't Sidney play well for them last year? I thought he
did.
Yeah. Reed Blankenship, vet, free safety. Isaiah Rogers, right corner. Avonte Maddox, a good little nickel. Now, Quinion Mitchell better start.
Yeah, I think he will eventually. I don't think that you can't stop him. That dude is so feisty, such a competitor. He's going to be a guy that just steals training camp for them.
Do you have James Bradbury too?
Yeah, I heard talk of the possibility that he may get shifted over to safety. He had a rough go last year, bud. A rough go.
Yeah, still. They just are
Cooper
names.
DeJean, dude,
Yeah. Mitchell and DeJean was, to go 1-2 was a coup.
My God.
So they get so much better at cornerback, and that's where they really needed to get better.
And DeJean could be a straight up just weapon. You could do whatever you want to do with. He's, definitely position agnostic in the backfield. You could do free, strong nickel corner. What do you want? What do you need that day?
Yep, absolutely. So lots of names here. Jake Elliott, good kicker, very dependable, right? Yeah. So
I'll say this, man. The honeymoon's over with Sirianni.
Listen,
that is not a fan base that will let shit slide. And this was the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
I don't
if they don't go up to a fast start, he could get axed, man.
I hope so. I don't care. Let him stay. He's funny to watch and funny to listen to.
Dude, his first press conference, I thought it was a wrap then. Right then and there, I was like, oh, they're going to fire this dude.
Totally
to fire this
insane, dude. And I'm surprised that he's still around actually at that organization. But they've won
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
until last year.
Well, like I said, dude, they plucked both their coordinators and it fell apart. So you're restarting that clock over yet again because Johnson, who we interviewed for OC, which blew my mind, was running a very rudimentary offense. You bring Kellen Moore, and that's a serious hire, especially for Sirianni, who's considered an offensive mind. To bring
Brian
Moore
Johnson,
in, that's
right.
Yeah, and then obviously Fangio. I don't need to speak on the man's credentials. Vic's the man, so
Yeah.
I feel better about this team. But I will say this: if it doesn't work out early, will Kellen Moore be their head coach?
Probably.
Right?
Probably. Or Fangio.
If he wants, I don't know if Vic wants it. Maybe. He did the exact same thing Schwartz did. He was a consultant for a year, goes in, and he was a DC last year in Miami, and then just took this job. Felt a little tamperish, but because he was a consultant for the Eagles before he went to Miami and came back.
It's the playbook, right? It's kind of the playbook. Vrabel
Get out of the game, be a consultant. Yep. Vrabel's doing it right now.
Stay attached to the game. Don't be, so that you have your eyes on everything. So, you're not even a beat behind the next year. You can go in and interview and be at the cutting edge of everything that defenses are doing, right? Like, you fall behind if you're not in it, it feels like a little bit. So, it's interesting.
Last thing I want to say before we move on from this.
Yeah.
There's a world where at the end of 2024, Dan Quinn is the only coach returning in 2025.
Yes. Yep. I think
Crazy.
so too.
Crazy.
I think so too. Did Drew asking if Miami's players hated Fangio last season? Haven't heard anything about that.
I haven't heard anything to that degree. I know some of them, the backfield, the safeties weren't appreciative of Fangio's scheme. That's what they said.
I trust Vic over them.
Me too, man.
So I think it depends on what the offense looks like, right? So if the offense is effective and somehow they fail or whatever, and they want to say, I mean, once again, I'm a big believer in you find your offensive mind, you make him the head coach. You don't have to worry about turnover every year. I think Kellen Moore is a bright mind in this league if he figures it out for you. And the one thing about Moore is this, like, can you really pin down Moore's style? I don't think you can.
No. I don't see him in that light.
Yeah, like I think he adapts to what he has, right? I think he's smart enough to do that. So I think he'll be able to do that for them and probably lock down that job long term. If not, he could be in trouble, as far as his career a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
So,
Drew asked a question there. Was Fangio a fit with Mike McDaniel's vibe? Probably not.
Probably
Mike
not.
McDaniel's
Great.
pretty damn laid back.
Probably not.
You often see that. You remember when Sean McVay got the job with the Rams, his first order of business was to get Wade Phillips. You go get an old grizzled vet to be your defensive coordinator. So I see that. I see why you would want to do that.
Yeah, for sure. So there it is. So let's do this to finish up our NFC East preview. Give me first, second, third. Well, how many wins do you think the Eagles get? And then give me first, second, third, fourth.
Ooh. Eagles 11, Cowboys 10, Washington 7, Giants 4.
I'll go. I'm going to go Eagles 10, Cowboys 10, Washington 6, we'll do 4 for the Giants. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Wins?
Yep, 4 wins.
Yeah. 6-4 for the bottom two, 10-10 at the top. But I have Dallas winning this division.
Okay. Yeah, and it is a 2-horse race. I'll say this: the NFC's not loaded. I think both those teams make the playoffs again.
Yeah.
I think there'll be 2 playoff teams.
Yeah.
I also think we have an opportunity here to sweep this division.
100%. 100%. It's new. We match up well against this division, I think. There's defensively, a lot of their weaponry is on the outside. Mm-hmm. The team that we don't match up as well with would be the Eagles, because they're kind of like a mirror image of,
they're built
us.
Similar, so, for sure.
It'll be very.
They're going to give our offensive line trouble.
Yes, yeah, and now defensively, I feel like we can give their offense some trouble too. Mm-hmm. If schemed up properly, you stop the run
stopping
game.
The run. You have the guys that match up with Smith and Brown, so you got to stop the run, and that means Hurts and Barkley.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So interesting division. Browns get them all early. Gotta win 3 of 4, I think.
Yeah.
Gotta do it. So.
Yeah, I honestly, because you have to win the first game. That is a must. If you lose to the Giants at home, that's an indictment. You should beat the Commanders on the road. And the Eagles game, I think that's the toss-up, right? I think game 6. And it's also the third game of a 3-game road stand. That's tough. Yeah. It's a tough spot.
It's kind of a scheduled loss.
When me and you did this, that's what we did.
Yeah. That's a tough one. But on paper, interesting. All right, so you're watching All Eyes on Cleveland. That's the NFC East. Is Ken Dorsey a legit play caller? Says Candy Corn Guy. Yes, I think he's a legitimate play caller. Do I think he will call plays for the Browns? I do not. But I know a lot of people that do think they're leaning that way. I do not think that.
I think he's an A+ quarterback coach.
Yeah. I think that's what he was hired to do here.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've talked a lot about that. All right. This is All Eyes on Cleveland. We appreciate you watching. We've got a couple more segments left here tonight. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're over on X. Hop on over here to YouTube. Hit that youtube.com/Orange and Brown Report. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the notification bell so you know every time we go live with the show here on the OBR streaming network. Make sure you're locked in over at the OBR, Insider Central, the water cooler, articles from Casey, myself. We're just pumping out stuff, getting ready for training camp here. We'll have wall-to-wall everything Browns. So make sure you're locked in on the OBR. Okay. There's this, did you see this stuff about this anonymous scout or whatever?
I've seen a lot of things about anonymous scouts in the last 2 days. I don't know what to make of it, man. I'm seeing so many reportedlies.
Yeah.
And no one's attaching their name to shit, so.
Here's the quote on Watson from an anonymous scout. Did you see this? I'm sure you did, right?
I don't know. Show me the quote.
Well, I'm gonna say it. I'm not gonna show it. I'm gonna tell you it. Quote: When Cleveland acquired Deshaun, he gave promise of superstar production. It hasn't gone well yet, but that success is coming in 2024. He has never been so locked in and motivated. I think this season that the Browns feel really good about the King's ransom they traded to get him, the scout told me.
So this was at where he's with Quincy Avery, right? He's throwing with Quincy Avery, and I've seen some reports. I didn't see that one in particular, but I heard some things coming out of those workouts.
So you think this is Quincy Avery telling him this?
I think it's someone at Quincy Avery's
camp.
Mm-hmm.
So this is from Watson's camp.
More than likely, yeah. Yeah.
It's not really a scout then. You know.
I mean, there could be scouts there at that. You know, I just.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, my whole thing is this, like, right, like, so you're seeing all this stuff about Watson, and it's like, and you know, I've been outwardly like, you know, I think he's going to play better this year. If he can stay healthy, he'll figure it out, and you know, I think he's in a better place mentally, and
you better be. That's okay. Let me run some stuff by you real quick.
Sure.
Okay, because I think his. I'm not here to say he's been elite in any way. I'm not saying confuse this man for Patrick Mahomes. He's not been that. But people have been making him out to be some sort of train crash.
Right.
Now, the problem is the health. The problem is we have such a small sample size that it's hard to know what you have. And truthfully, he started and finished 5 games last year. One of those games was objectively bad. The Steelers game, there's no way around it. He played terrible. That was a very bad game. But if you take the 5 games he played last year, he was 104 out of 166. That's 63% completion percentage. He threw for 1,110 yards. He had 7 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. You extrapolate that over, let's say he plays 16 games. Extrapolate that over 16 games. That is still a 63% completion percentage. That'd be 3,552 yards, 23 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. Not elite. This team was going to go to the playoffs with Deshaun Watson as is.
But not bad. Yeah.
It's not the train wreck people want you to believe that it's been. Like he's just been this abysmal dude. You know, it's disappointing because you thought it was going to be more than that. True. And he needs to be we're a playoff team with that. You want to go to the Super Bowl, you got to be much better.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be closer to 70% completions. We need you close 3 to 1. 3 touchdowns to every interception. That's kind of what we need to see out of him.
It's a great point because it's all or nothing for the national media, right? It's either spectacular or he's god awful, and then the numbers, those numbers, the way you explained it, is closer to what we saw reality wise than the actual numbers, because the actual numbers look god awful when you throw them up there, and then everybody says, "Oh, he's terrible," you know, he's so bad. But if you watch the Arizona game and the Titans game and the Ravens game, especially the second half, you see a guy who's playing pretty good football.
Yeah, and it's telling to me that both of the best games you mentioned, the best he played the Tennessee game and the Baltimore game were after he was hurt.
Yeah.
After he was hurt, he was not in his own head. He was out there just making plays.
Yeah.
And I think he put so much pressure on himself. He's missing checkdowns. He's not taking easy stuff. He's trying to win everything back on each play. That's a tough place to be, man. That's a tough place to live. You know, trying to live up to everything on every play, man. Especially when you have the talent that you have around you. You ain't got to do all the heavy lifting. Now, there's going to be a lot of fourth quarters. We're going to need you to do the heavy lifting. I'm not absolving you of that, but it's not every play, man. Like there's enough there for you to just take what's there, and you just feel better about the situation. Is all I'm saying. If he would just take some of the easy stuff, you know, and then maybe things start connecting downfield. Maybe you start becoming more explosive over time because he still throws a good deep ball. Yeah. You know, I mean, that's something I'm not really worried about. But yeah, man, for me, it's the health. We have to know what we have.
I think that in the Ravens game, he talked about it like the final drive and even just the second half, the comeback on his podcast with Quincy. And they were he was talking about how his arm was clicking, right? And he knew something was wrong. So he started just trying to get whatever was there. Like if you watch it back, he makes one elite throw in that it was the third. They got a penalty in the final drive. They got backed up. It was 3rd and long. He steps back in the pocket and he rips an absolute just bullet, perfect pass. I forget who it was to. Maybe Tillman. But anyways, and it gets them back from behind the sticks to 3rd and short, and the drive keeps going. But the rest of the stuff on that drive, and in the second half where he's 14 for 14, it's dump offs. It's him scrambling, just here or there. And he talked about on the show, he was like, I wasn't consciously doing it. I was doing it because I was hurt. But, like, if you think about it, and Quincy was making this point to him, if you always just kind of took that approach, like, just take what the defense has given me and make the big throw when you have to or when it's there, that there would be so much more there. And that kind of, managing the game better that way.
Yeah, so instead of always trying to make highlight plays.
Yeah. It's like he's trying to, earn the whole contract with one throw. So, which is tough, I get it. It would be tough, right? So, all right. I'm writing on this, so I may not use the same guys I use in my article, but 3 guys you are excited to see. Listen, this preseason is going to be fun. Me and Pete have been talking about this. It's this team has a ton of talent, a ton of young talent that I want to see play in the preseason. So I'm excited for preseason football this year, right? Like I really am. Now you told me you were going to throw me some curveballs here. So
well, I'm going to have some curveballs ready because there's no way we don't have overlap. Because I'm sure there's some of the guys we're both excited for. So
you want me to?
But
go
here's
first?
The thing is, that's where we're at. We have plenty to be excited about. Plenty of players that we probably won't even see much from the regular season, short of injuries. That we want to know what we have. We want to get a sneak peek of what's to come. So I love this. I love this idea.
Yeah, me too. All right, you go. You want me? I'll go first. All right, I'll go first. Really, at receiver, there's a number of options of guys I want to see. I'll say Jamari Thrash. Is that what you're going to say?
Of course. I want to see if he's really a separator and a vertical threat. I want to see if that,
It's Jamari Thrash that I want to see. To Drew's point, it's really Tillman and Thrash, but go ahead. Yeah.
I do throw Mikey Trees on there.
Mike Woods. Yep.
Yeah.
Mike Woods.
Yeah.
Yep. You want to see Mike Woods out there?
Hell yeah.
David Bell. These guys are fighting for at least one, if not 2, spots where they can carve out a little role, and hopefully Tillman a bigger role. But
he's the leader in the clubhouse going into this.
Yeah. Yep.
Could Jamari Thrash eat into that? Hell yeah, he could.
He could.
You go out there and you're electric, and there's nothing. You know what I mean? But this is where you prove that.
Because of Tillman's work ethic this offseason, he has an advantage. Like, he went out, he grinded, he was there every day. They all pointed it out. They said he came in looking big. So he's a leader in the clubhouse by far. He got lauded, applause from his quarterback and his head coach.
Mentioned by name several times.
Quarterback, head coach, both of them talk highly about him. I think Thrash is extremely interesting, especially when they really get into the choice routes and whatnot, right? Zeke Dog, never apologize again, brother. Good to have you here. But yeah, Mikey Trees, absolutely. Yeah, all these guys, right? Do you want to go second?
Yeah, man, give me Aiden Robbins. I want to see this big boy carry the football. I want to see what that looks like in the NFL. I want to see, we're starting to see videos of him working out with Chubb, but he's going to be, because we're not going to see Nick Chubb in the preseason. Probably not going to see Deonta Foreman get a ton of work. He might show up for a series or 2. He's a pro. They know what they have in him. Ford might get some work early, but this is for the young guys.
Robbins. Yep.
Aiden Robbins, man.
See if he can be somebody down the line, right? He's a big boy. I want to see him too. Yeah.
He's different than all the rest of them. I'll say that. When you're watching drills, he don't look the same. He's built different. I want to see what that looks like. Can he be a guy that just hangs out on the practice squad for a year or two, and then when you're ready to move on, you have a power back? I'd love to see it, Brad.
Me too. Can Deuce turn him into somebody, right? My second guy is Miles Harden, right? So
that's why I had backups, Brad. This is why I had backup players in mind.
Yeah, Miles
Taking
Harden
gems.
is the mouthy, in-your-face, physical Emerson, like cornerback that I just absolutely love, and I can't wait to watch him play because I think.
And there's a key component to this. He has to earn his spot.
He does. He has to
go do it, young man. Let's go do that.
He likely has to outplay Halasi to make the roster the way I figure.
Unless they're going to keep, because last year was split 5 safeties, 5 corners. Are you going to force them to keep Bell off the roster? Like you're going to have to ball out, man. There's guys that have kind of earned their spots.
Yeah, because if you count Justin Hardy as your sixth corner, I think he's a lock for the roster as your special teams ace. You don't ever want him in coverage. That brings it down to Harden and Halasi.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
excited.
Great problem to have, my man.
Who you got?
Well, because you pitched this idea to me before I read Pete's article, but I agree with Pete. Isaiah McGuire.
Yeah.
Isaiah McGuire, dude. That's because he was a guy that when he was drafted, it's like, okay, this kid might have a role early, and then you go and get Za'Darius, and then it's like, oh, he's gonna have to sit. And then Alex Wright really kind of announced himself and kind of took that spot. So now this kid's like fighting for scraps. But like, I think he could be something. I thought he was a tremendous value when they drafted him in the 4th round. Yeah. So like, this is your time. This will be your time to make your case for yourself. Because he might be a guy who's, I think, securely going to make the 53, but it's going to be hard to make that game day roster for him. Just based on how stacked that room is.
Yeah, I think he makes a 53 if he's on game day. I don't know. It kind of depends on the kickoff and stuff like that. And, the matchup that week, like the health
injuries,
of the other
obviously
edges.
Injuries, but I think he could be a dude, and I want to see if he's made a leap because Alex Wright was forced into duty as a rookie, and we weren't that high on him after his rookie year. No. He definitely took a step. He definitely developed. He did. Isaiah McGuire, so he's not doing it on the stage that Alex was because Alex was forced to play, but he could have made those same steps just on the practice field, and we'll see if it translates, during the preseason.
Jacques Césaire had nothing but good things to say about him in the preseason presser. So I like Césaire so far as the dealing coach. All right, you go for your last one so I don't overlap you again.
Bookie Watson. Nathaniel
Watson.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So yeah, I definitely want to see him play. And it's interesting because we had Tarver talking, and he mentioned everybody by name in the room except for one guy. But he mentioned everybody in the room by name. I said that backwards, I think. And he went ahead and said that he thought Tony Fields ended the season as like the 3rd linebacker, which kind of puts him in the leader in the clubhouse. But you like Watson to overtake him. I do. I hope
his physicality is something Fields does not have. Fields does not have that physicality. He does not have that size. So if you can show me you can utilize those two things and be that physical presence that we lost with Talkie, man. We just did, So they need someone to fill that role. So like let's see what's up. I want to see if I want you to just announce your physical presence, and I want to see you shine on kickoffs.
Yeah,
another spot I want to see him shine.
So, same room. I want to see Devin Bush in the preseason. Like, first-round talent, had it, bad knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
Can he still run? Because if he can run, they can use him. So,
I mean, I'll say
Only
this: it's drills, and drills don't mean jack shit. But like, we were watching linebacker drills during the minicamp they just had, and you see JOK move, and you're like, damn, he's a Panther. He's different. Bush ain't that far off.
No.
Like Bush's movement skills are pretty nasty,
Yeah.
and he looked pretty fluid. Now we'll see what that means when he's got pads on and people are making contact with him. He's hesitant and all, but like the way I see him moving, to have that kind of athlete as a depth piece, man, it's a hell of a thing to give Jim Schwartz.
You know you're going to – I mean, at linebacker, you know you're going to be in your depth at times during the game, right? Mm-hmm. It's just part of it. And he was the only guy Tarver didn't mention, which I thought was really weird.
Yeah.
But I still am hoping he can make the team and be a part of the depth, just because, you know, if he could just – him flying around, it's the perfect fit for him. Like, he doesn't have to think, he doesn't have to do anything. You've got this amazing defensive line in front of you. Line him up with JOK or whoever out there, and just see ball, go get it, right?
See ball, get ball, yes, sir.
Like, that's Bush's game, it feels like, at this point. You know, at one point, he looked like, until he had his knee injury, he looked like he was going to be an elite player in this league, and it's a shame. But like, to your point, I still think he can move just fine out there. So, those are my three: Thrash, Harden, Bush. There's plenty more you want to see.
So just think about last preseason. I'd say two guys that we would have walked away from just the preseason, not the regular season. If you'd asked us after that last preseason game, who really flashed for you? Would say Diabate and DTR.
Yeah.
They're still there. They're still going to get run during this preseason. So there's two other guys that, you know, did you make a step? You know, DTR will be – we got to see DTR in the season. And I was very encouraged the way he was looking before he got hurt against Denver. Like, it looked like things were starting to click for him. You know, it's just – we'll see if that's a carryover to this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's hopefully like, your developmental long-term – whatever, right? And I think he has the potential for that. He flashed last year. You want to see him take a step forward. His injury, though, may slow him down. I mean, it's not like he's been able to work it all off season.
Yeah. He's definitely. I mean, I think that wasn't he active for the very end of minicamp?
I think so.
I think he finally got back on the field, you know. But I don't think we really calculated how much that hip injury would set him back. I didn't even think it was an issue to start the season.
They never elaborated on it like enough.
We just had so many other injuries to ask about. We were like, how's Chubb? How's Watson? We weren't even asking about Jack Conklin.
No. Well, I didn't think he was even in the realm of coming back after DeJuan's talk with Cleveland.com.
Yeah.
He made it sound like he was miles behind them. Here he is ready to go. DeJuan. All right. This is a thing we like to do here on All Eyes on Cleveland every now and again. It's called Thing or Not a Thing. And I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to name something. You tell me if it's a thing or not. I had to kind of go off the board on a few of these tonight.
Yeah, let's go.
Because there's not much out there right now. So let's start. Some of these are in theme with the show up to this point. So here we go. Thing or not a thing? Let me see. Let's here on All Eyes on Cleveland. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe while we're doing this, getting this ready for you. And let's. Erroneous. I don't know. You can't hear that? None of that?
No, I couldn't hear that.
Okay. Some of my sound effects here.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads. Roads? Where we're going.
A little Back to the Future.
Oh, that's the thing, Brad.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
All right, yeah. So we're going to do thing or not a thing, Casey? All right, here we go. Dak in a boot.
Not a
Dak
thing.
Prescott seen in a boot. Not a thing. You believe the reports? Not a thing. Okay. Not a thing. You're not. You know.
He's already not
no
wearing
idea what
it.
he did, right?
It was an airplane. He got off of it. He took a trip down to Cabo or wherever in Mexico. Was seen in a boot. He's already been seen on a field since then without the boot. So I'm gonna say no thing.
Okay.
You can ask me if I wish it was a thing.
Yeah. All right. The Browns trainers supposedly encouraging DeJuan Jones to play basketball because it breaks down the scar tissue in his knee. Thing or not a thing?
Because it's DeJuan, I'm going to say it's a thing. I'm going to say that, I mean, it'd be different if we're talking about someone who didn't grow up playing the game and we're like encouraging to do that to break up scar tissue. But it's also him getting his feet, man. That kid's, his feet are entirely too good to be as big as he is. Why is that? Because he grew up playing basketball.
I guess. I hate the idea of anybody playing basketball on my football roster.
I know. If it wasn't a lifelong basketball, if he wasn't a hooper growing up, I would feel the same. I don't feel like it's, and I also don't think he's out there doing 360 windmills either. I don't feel like he's put himself at that kind of risk. But also, man, I need that kid to play with his weight down. Ideally, I like to see him play at like 330 pounds.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible. Is he going to show up at 360? Yeah. Like, he's massive. He's so damn big, but if anything that can keep his weight down, if they say it's for scar tissue, whatever, I need his feet to be fast.
Especially if he's going to switch to the left side.
Hey, you know what I'm saying?
All right. How about that? Thing or not a thing on that? Him switching, moving to the left side. I
think it's not a thing.
I think he can do it. A thing.
I think he could do it. Is it in the realm of possibility? Absolutely. He's a good enough athlete. He has the physical metrics. Do I think it's the best version of himself from the left side? I do not. But it might be the best thing for the team. There's the difference. It might just be the best thing for the team. But I think you get the very best out of DeJuan on the right side.
Listen, so I would argue that on the right side, he's asked to run block more, and he's not a great run blocker, at least not yet in his career, so maybe the left side suits him better.
I also can't let the ship sail that he's not going to be a good run blocker because he wasn't.
I didn't say he wouldn't be. I'm just saying he's not right now, really.
Well, he wasn't last year.
Sure.
Yes. I don't know, man. I think he could be a all-pro right tackle. I don't know if that's true at left. But look, man, that might be what's best for the team.
Yeah. The Conklin thing, it convolutes this stuff, right? Like, I wrote initially and things I think they'll slow play. Because when we thought he was coming, they'll slow play Conklin into the season to let DeJuan start at right, Will start at left, and then have Conklin just kind of as things go, he gets healthy, he can fill in, and, somebody misses here or there, he gets back in the mix, right?
It makes a ton of sense.
But now...
But this is Jack declaring himself back. This isn't the coaching staff.
I don't know if Jack is the kind of guy that can declare himself back if he wasn't back.
He might be just fully go for football activities.
I think he's full go for camp.
That's what I'm saying, though. But that doesn't mean he's his old self.
Okay.
Just because he's physically cleared to do everything, and the doctor's like, yeah, you can go out and do your normal thing. That doesn't mean you're Jack Conklin. We don't even know if Jack Conklin was Jack Conklin last year because he got hurt so damn early.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we don't even know if he was his self last year before the injury.
Okay. All right, Case. You're all right. Calm down. All right. We don't know. You're right. But if he proves that he is Jack Conklin, or then aren't you forced to almost move DeJuan over and start giving him reps at left side? Because you have to open up the possibilities that can create for you. As you didn't take a left tackle this year, you don't know who's going to be there next year. And it certainly would solve a lot of problems as you transition to what could be a younger, less expensive offensive line.
Which you have to eventually. I mean, you look at the guys that got on the interior; they're set up to do that as early as next year.
Yeah,
I
know you're against it, but
it's not I'm against it. I think that you get the best out of DeWand on the right, but that might not be what's best for your team. So I fully acknowledge that you might need a left tackle next year. You might need one halfway through this year, depending on how things work out. So training, getting him cross-training on both sides, that makes a ton of sense.
Right, because so even if you start him as the backup, right, as Jones is the backup, here's the scenario that I see that's like, this is really ridiculous, okay, is say Conklin is Conklin, and I take very much into the point he may not be himself. He may be a nothing. It may be a moot point. He may be the swing guy. I don't even know if he can play left either, but
he did in college, but that was
10
years ago.
So. Yeah, so maybe he's your swing guy, right? But either way, well, not either way, but if Conklin is himself, he's probably your best tackle. And if he was Jack Conklin, right, he's probably your best tackle. So you start him at right tackle, and then you have DeWand as your backup because you're paying him $14 million. DeWand's on a rookie deal. So if DeWand is your swing or your backup tackle and Jed Wills gets hurt, and now you can't play him at left tackle, I mean, what's the point in having him be a backup if he can't swing to both sides? And
fair.
The point of an injury, you're going to have him sit even more and have Hakeem Adeniji come in and play left tackle.
Pray Lorenzo Thompson's up to speed. Yeah, no, look, dude. I also live in a world where I can't tell you the last time Jack Conklin was actually fully healthy. So banking on it sounds crazy to me. It just feels crazy. I didn't think they should. To me, that was the worst contractual move that's been made for something. It was like, it felt like a panic move to extend him when they did, which I thought was an indictment on Hudson. I thought they thought Hudson was the guy that was going to replace Conklin, and he wasn't up to speed. So you extend Conklin. He's just that dude's injuries.
It's not Barry's best move.
Doesn't feel like it.
But I mean,
you don't cut off your nose to spite your face, man. Like if you think Jack's going to play, man, you got to get DeWand looks at left tackle.
You're ready to write him off. You're like, Conklin is done. I can't remember the last time I saw him play a healthy down. I'm not banking on anything. I'm just saying if he were to come back healthy.
2020, Jack Conklin walking through that door.
I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying, I mean, the guy's a vet. Mm-hmm. He's a terrific player when healthy. Yes, he got injured last year, but even the year before that, not 2020, 2022, Jack Conklin, when he was healthy, was good. No?
Look, man, I'm not hating on Jack Conklin. I'm just being realistic about this man's injuries.
Okay, but you can't even say that he was good. You can't even say that when he was healthy, he was good in 2022.
I don't know if I'd use the word good. He was okay. Was he worth his money then? I don't think so. And that's when you panicked and re-upped him.
The hate is wild.
Dude, I mean, you want to place a bet that he plays all the games? I don't think you do.
I'm not saying that. I'm not even coming close to saying that he's going to play all the games. I'm just saying.
You're saying he's going to play. You're talking about playing good, not even just finishing games. I don't feel good about it. I don't feel good.
I think he can play. I think if he's healthy, he plays well. I do. He played in the league a long time, man. He's not even that old.
I know. That's the scary part. The dude's 29. I know. I'm well aware. I'm just. His injuries are adding up in my head, man. It sounds risky.
They are, risky, but I mean,
you're financially invested in this dude.
But you have three. So you're saying what makes more sense then is to just give DeJuan the right tackle spot and have Jack Conklin be your backup.
I think DeJuan Jones's upside's way larger than Jack Conklin's right now. Yeah.
Sure. I get that. I just think,
I don't want to stunt his development.
Yeah, I don't want to stunt his development either, but I don't think that even if he earns the starting right tackle job, I think Jack Conklin's just existence in camp as an option gives you the ability to kick DeJuan over to left just to see what you got. I'm not saying you got to do it.
I'm not disagreeing there. Like I said, he needs to be cross-trained.
That's all I'm saying.
He's young enough in his career. I could see that.
That's all I'm saying. You got to see what you got. Because it opens, if it does work, it opens up so many more options for you.
I'm not going to disagree with that. And now I think you want me to disagree with that.
I do.
No, you're not getting me.
I'm not
DeJuan's super talented. I think he's your most talented offensive lineman. I think his upside is the best, and I think he's getting paid the least. He needs to see the field.
Getting paid the least if you're going to carry the guy, it doesn't really matter.
No, that's because you signed Conklin to a dumbass contract.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're gonna carry Conklin, it doesn't matter who, Anyways,
it does in the long term.
Agreed. But it gives you the opportunity to see what you got, I think, and I think you should.
He did some practice over here last year.
Yeah. All right. We'll get off this topic. All right. Browns preseason trades.
Okay.
Thing or not a thing?
Yes, it's a thing. It's a thing. You're bolstered at several positions that are coveted. The teams don't have people. If you can unload somebody, and I will circle back to what you have is your backup tight end. I think that if you can get someone there, you do. I don't know where it comes from. But there's always injuries. And if you're overly bold, we might even move one of our safeties.
You think?
I just think that's an area where you might, would you rather trade Bell or cut him? Of course, you'd rather trade him if that's what you're down to.
Practice squad.
I think you'd rather get something back for him if it helps you in the short term.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to get that much back for Bell.
Maybe not. I'm just saying. You look at areas that you have players in that are on the chopping block who could do something somewhere and get you something back that could help you this year, because you don't have a lot of problems. I wouldn't even call them holes, but you have a few deficiencies at some positions in the depth area, and if you can get something to fill those up, go for it.
Yeah. Yep.
You saw last year. I didn't think they were going to trade Dobbs.
No.
Who say that can't be Snoop Huntley this year?
Well, yeah, that's the one guy I was kind of thinking of. Maybe, right?
Yeah. Why not?
So Huntley, but I'd still rather if we can keep him on the practice squad, I'd almost rather do it than get it like a 7 in return or whatever.
I'm not thinking picks. I'm thinking players.
Yeah, there's
I don't move off that. I don't move off a guy for a 7th if he's because we saw Bell be very helpful as depth last year. Very helpful.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not trying to get rid of guys. I'm just saying you're going to be your roster's in an area now where you're going to be forced to cut NFL caliber talent. You're going to have to just let go of, and it's going to be like, oh, didn't have enough room, and you're not going to make it through the practice squad.
Yeah, some of those, yeah. If they're not going to get through, you got to try to trade them, right? If you don't think they're going to get through.
I think Anthony Bell's put enough good stuff on tape. I think somebody would probably take a swing on him.
Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. All right, final one of the night. This is kind of a weird one. I don't know how I got here, but here we are. So, I know how I got there. So today, Jamal Adams signed with the Titans, right? Did you see that? That's
No, I
today,
did not.
right? Yeah.
I
So
did not see that.
yeah,
He's
Jamal
busy
Adams,
swinging ditches.
pass rushing safety. Whatever.
Weird.
Okay. He
What a skill
signed with
set.
the Titans, but it made me kind of just think about the Titans for a second.
Hmm?
They got L'Jarius Sneed.
Hmm?
They added some other good players as well. I know that. They're escaping me now. But
They had Calvin
What do
Ridley.
you-
They got Pollard.
yeah, Ridley, yep. Pollard, yep. But they have Will Levis as their quarterback.
Mhm.
Titans to challenge the Texans for the division. Thing or not a thing?
Not a thing.
Not a thing.
The
Damn.
Titans to look, man. If you'd have said even the Colts, I can get
Yeah.
there. If you say Jacksonville, I can get there. I can't get there with the path with Tennessee. I think Tennessee's staring down the barrel of a rough season.
Bad year, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think
Feel
you
like
move
they-
off from Mike Vrabel and get better immediately. I feel
Yeah. I mean, they made some interesting moves. They brought it. It doesn't
they
look
made moves
like
to tell you they don't think they're dead in the water,
Yeah, it doesn't look like they're punting on the season. Is I guess
Yeah.
my point.
which I thought they kind of were when they moved off
right.
Vrabel and they made moves but it just, I don't know.
You've got the Callahans there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Will. What do you think of Will Levis after watching him last year? Is he an NFL quarterback?
Volatile player, high ceiling, low floor.
Reminds
He makes
me of
some wild
Drew-
plays and then makes some plays make you scratch your head like what the hell's going on out there? What's he seeing?
Kind of reminds me of Drew Lock a little bit.
There you go. Swag Lord Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he could be future starter in New York. I don't know. I think that they're in a tough position, and I don't think Houston's going to run away with it like everyone thinks they will. I think the Colts are going to be better than people think. And Jacksonville, who knows, man? They got the talent. They have talented players, but they're like they've had two Jekyll and Hyde seasons. They started off Doug Peterson's first year, they were dog shit, and they finished strong and made a run in the playoffs and damn near beat the Chiefs, And then last year they started off strong and took a nosedive at the end of the year. So they just need to put together a season. So
that's the AFC South, right? So
yes, sir.
the AFC South to me, which I don't think they weren't very good last year, right? As a division, the AFC South.
No, but they had three teams that were vying for the title in the last week of the season.
Right, but that's because Richardson got hurt. You had Levis in there. You had transition here, there, the other, and you had
Trevor Lawrence got hurt, was limping out the final part of the season.
You have the Texans who
Stroud came on.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a pretty competitive division this year. I'm not crowning the Texans like everybody else.
Same.
I feel like they got hot at the end of last year. That doesn't carry over this year. They have to do it all over again.
Dude, sophomore slump's a real thing. Every defensive coordinator has tape on Stroud. They're going to do everything they can to limit that, and credit to the Texans going and getting the stuff on Diggs, getting some more weapons. Tank Dell, I don't know, man. Like that's a kid that's an enigma to me. Super small, explosive, dynamic, hard breaker. Like when he separates hard.
Like, last year, man.
But then he breaks his leg and then shoots himself in the offseason. Like I don't know what he is.
Man,
I know he's 165 pounds.
Yeah.
That's what I do know. Nico Collins is good. They got some good tight ends. Like
they don't really need him though. That's the thing anymore. Yeah. But I just find it. I don't know if they can just people act like in the power rankings they're like in top 10s and stuff.
We're talking about AFC Championship shit.
Super
already.
Trendy Texans dude, it's not that easy. It's not that easy.
I know. I'm same page, brother. I think they could be good and still, I think 10-7 wouldn't be a bad outcome.
people think that you can carry momentum over from one season to another in the NFL. It's not like the NBA. It's not
No.
like that. Each season is its own entity. Culture needs to be recreated. Each game is its own, battle.
Yes.
The minor things that happen from, mini camp, rookie mini camp, all the way to the season, through the season. It's just entire own entity. You can't just carry over momentum from one season to the other. It doesn't work that way.
Each season, people always use the idiom. It's a marathon. No, it's 17 separate sprints.
Yep.
While you're running a marathon, because it's a grind, man. Like you said, those rookies, they played college football last year, went straight into the draft cycle, trained for all that. They don't get an off season, they go straight into the year. It's wild, dude. But I'm with you. Unless you have a crazy stable foundation laid with a veteran head coach, it's really hard to carry anything over from season to season.
I mean, I wrote about this with the Browns even. Like, okay, great culture last year, that team. We saw it in the there was moments, right? The Jets game, the Ravens game, where they're all pushing each other. Like, we just saw great culture moments where that team played for each other. They played for the brother. My favorite moment of the season, Emerson, when DTR's crying, he's down in his face talking, love that. Like, they had that. But they have to recreate it again.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't just carry over. Like, that Schwartz, Vrabel, all that. It has to be recreated all again. Now, they can do it because they have...
Because you still have the same pillars in place that help install it last year.
Leadership.
They have to do the work again.
But they have to foster it again, absolutely. It doesn't just happen or carry over. So, it's an interesting aspect of football, and especially NFL football, so... And with that, we're going to get out of here. We're almost running up against 2 hours. Big case, dog.
Easy work, Brad.
Yeah, easy work. Appreciate you guys watching tonight, listening tonight, hitting the like button and the subscribe button tonight. I appreciate that in advance.
Do all the things.
Do all of the things below. If you have questions or inquiries, my email address is in the description below. If you want to just shout out, ask a question to the show, got an idea, something you want to see us do, feel free. My email's in the below. Appreciate you guys. All eyes on Cleveland. Keep it locked at the OBR for all things Browns as we get closer to the Greenbrier here. Casey Kinnamon, follow him on X at Casey_Kinnamon. Read him at the OBR. We're so glad to have him. Ian Valentino joined this week. He is a draft guru. He comes over with working with the 33rd team. He is top of the game. We're adding elite talent at the OBR right now. We're flourishing. Casey with one of the great ones. We brought Sam Penix, and there's more to come. So keep it locked. Appreciate you all. Zeke Dog, Candy Corn Guy, appreciate you popping in for the first time I've seen you here. Connie, it's been a minute. Drew, everybody. Larry, thank you. Everybody that's 492 of you watching, we appreciate it. Off season, we love it. Gotta love it. But yeah, keep it locked in. We're gonna get out of here for Casey Kinnamon, everybody else at the OBR. My name is Brad Ward. Have a lovely evening. We are out.